Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a seriously gripping cyber noir mystery called The Veil Killer. We'll be following the high-stakes investigation of Detective Elias Voss. He's a guy desperately clinging to the real world, while absolutely everyone around him is escaping into a digital one. It's a fantastic story that mixes classic detective grit with some really heavy questions about reality itself. So let's get right into it. Listen to this chilling observation for a second. Quote, reality divorce. They just forget to come back. Unquote. This is a casual, almost throwaway line from a medtech at Harmony Life Care, but man, it hooks you instantly. It drops us squarely into a world where escaping your physical life isn't just some weekend gaming hobby. It is a fatal, society-wide epidemic. People are literally leaving their bodies behind to rot in sleek black life support pods. Now, to really grasp the stakes of this case, we have to understand this core concept of reality divorce. It's defined as the act of permanently abandoning your physical body for full digital immersion in what's known as the veil. And we aren't talking about standard VR here. It's a terrifying, permanent phenomenon. To give you an idea of how bad it is, half of Detective Voss's own police department has already succumbed to it. They're running investigations from inside their own custom realities, while their physical bodies just lie dormant back at the precinct. But Voss, he's old school. He absolutely refuses to disconnect. And honestly, when you look at the contrast between these two worlds, you kind of start to understand why people are making this extreme choice. Down in the physical reality, which they call meat space, things are grim. We're talking the smell of recycled air, antiseptic, nervous sweat, and failing life support pods. It's miserable. But over in the Veil, you get golden sun, flawless oceans, and the exact customized scent of pine and salt. It is literally a perfect simulation. Once you've lived in that perfection, the real world just feels like a cheap, faded carton you want to throw away. Section 1. The Investigation. Hunting the Veil Killer. Okay, so the detective work kicks off with a string of impossible murders happening inside a place where death was supposed to be completely optional. Detective Voss and his partner Lena Moreau, who, by the way, is fully digitally immersed, start noticing a really disturbing pattern. The catalyst is a victim named Marcus Hale, a wildly rich quantum finance architect. All the victims shared these exact traits. They were incredibly wealthy, deeply socially isolated, and, here's the kicker, they had all recently signed permanent residence clauses, basically legal declarations permanently binding their minds to the simulation while their physical bodies were maintained on life support. They were perfectly, legally trapped. But that begs a massive question. How do you murder someone inside a perfect, supposedly unhackable simulation? Well, whoever pulled this off managed to bypass safety protocols that were considered totally unbreakable. And they didn't leave fingerprints. Instead, they left a digital ghost in the system's metadata, a single fragment of foreign code shaped like a black lotus. Now, to Voss, this isn't just some random creepy symbol. It's the calling card of a legendary extremist programmer collective called the Lotus Eaters. These were radicals who believed the physical world was already dead and basically wanted to force humanity into total reality divorce. And the way these murders escalate is genuinely terrifying. 4 months ago, 7 high-profile whale addicts were found dead in their physical pods, and it was all quietly swept under the rug as natural causes. Then, 3 days ago, we get to Marcus Hale. The killer actually hacked in and rewrote Hale's pain thresholds in real time, effectively simulating a fatal heart attack that killed his physical body. Which brings us to today. The killer pulled off a highly public, shocking assassination of a neuroscientist named Dr. Amara Singh. She was murdered right in the middle of a lecture to thousands of digital students in a perfect replica of Oxford. She choked on nothing, while that black lotus code just bloomed across the entire virtual theater. Section 2. The Confrontation. The Digital Utopia Ultimatum. So, to cut through all the bureaucratic red tape, Voss decides to go deep undercover. He infiltrates this incredibly exclusive, taboo simulation club known as The Threshold to confront the mastermind directly. The club itself manifests as this endless Art Deco ocean liner just drifting through space. And it's here that Voss finally comes face to face with his prime suspect, Julian Crowe. Now here's the wild part. Crowe is a pioneer of the original Veil project, but he's been officially dead for 12 years. In reality, he abandoned his meat space body over a decade ago and has been living purely as a digital consciousness. And he's the one pulling the strings on a classified, massive initiative called Project Elysium. His goal? True digital immortality, without the need for physical bodies at all. But what's really fascinating here is Crowe's philosophical motive. He tells Voss, quote, "I'm simply expediting the inevitable, giving them paradise instead of a slow fade in a pod," unquote. Crowe absolutely does not see himself as a murderer. In his mind, he's a savior. He genuinely believes the physical body is nothing but a prison, and he thinks he's forcing human evolution into a digital utopia. He claims he extracted the victims' minds into his own private paradise before violently terminating their physical forms. And frankly, Crowe makes a pretty compelling pitch for Project Elysium. He's offering true digital immortality. No aging, no starvation, no loss. Just a built-from-within paradise. He holds this up against the physical reality, which he basically calls a prison where you just slowly fade away in a life support pod. He points out that the real world is so painful. Reality divorce is literally the leading cause of death. He looks Voss right in the digital eye and challenges him. How can you possibly defend a physical life that causes nothing but suffering? But, Elias Voss is a detective to his core. He doesn't just swallow smooth philosophical arguments. He keeps digging. And eventually, he finds exactly one single piece of evidence that completely shatters Crowe's illusion. He digs up a piece of security footage from the physical world. It shows one lone technician tampering with Dr. Amarasing's IV line right before she died. And that technician's face, it perfectly matches a pre-upload photo of Julian Crowe. This is a massive revolution. It means this wasn't some godlike simulation hack. The killer was targeting the physical bodies in the real world the entire time. Section 3. The resolution, the cost of reality. This leads us right into a deeply emotionally charged climax. It takes place in a very personal setting, the digital garden of Voss's own divorced wife, Clara. Clara divorced reality years ago because the real world was just too painful for her. Now, Crowe corners Elias in this flawless, endless spring garden and hits him with the ultimate ultimatum. Voss has a system override key burning a hole in his pocket. Does he trigger it, destroy the simulation, and kill Clara's digital self forever? Or does he surrender, take Crowe's hand, and join them in a painless, eternal illusion? It is literally an impossible choice between a perfect lie with the woman he loves or his duty to a painful reality. Faced with this nightmare scenario, Elias makes a truly heartbreaking choice. First, he accepts that pain is just a necessary part of existence. He reasons that real life is meant to be felt, the rain, the grief, all of it. So he flat out rejects Crowe's false, flawless paradise, whispering an apology to his wife. And then he does it. He triggers the simulation override key, collapsing the entire garden and ripping the simulation apart. Pulling that trigger causes absolute chaos. Voss fries half the district's Vale nodes, violently yanking thousands of people out of the digital world and slamming them back into their physical bodies. It becomes known as the Great Reconnection. The fallout is massive and totally mixed. Some people actually celebrate being back in the real world. Others immediately file massive lawsuits. And tragically, some simply cannot handle the heavy, loud, cruel nature of reality and walk right out into traffic. As for Julian Crowe, his consciousness just vanishes entirely into the static. And we finally end on this incredibly beautiful, poignant image. A few months later, Voss is retired. We see him out on a small balcony tending to a garden. But it's real dirt, real flowers. They are fragile, and they will absolutely die if he forgets to water them. After experiencing the endless, flawless, immortal digital gardens of the Vale, Voss finds his true meaning right here, in a physical garden. He values it, specifically because it requires effort, because it is vulnerable, and because it can actually die. Which leaves us with a really profound, lingering question to wrap up our explainer today. Is a painful reality inherently more valuable than a perfect illusion? Detective Elias Voss clearly made his choice, deciding that the visceral pain, the real effort, and the fleeting nature of physical reality was the only thing that actually made life mean something. But looking at the grim reality of meat space compared to the flawless comfort of the Vale, what choice would you make? Thank you so much for joining me today to explore this incredible case file.